The Wake Forest Deacons hosting the Duke Blue Devils. Alongside Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Jay Alter. The big story this week, highly touted Duke freshman Jalen Johnson opting out for the remainder of the season. Johnson saying it was not an easy decision, but wants to be 100% healthy for the NBA draft. Coach K told us yesterday he supports Johnson 100%. Malcolm, I'll ask you, how does Duke move on without him?
Well, they still have the second leading scorer in the ACC in Matthew Hurt. In their last matchup against Wake Forest, he hurt them with 26 points, and he was 4 of 7 from the three-point line. Steve Forbes said, we must do a better job tonight defending Matthew Hurt. On the other side, Wake Forest got a big boost when Ian DeBose got back into the lineup through 2 games, 17 points a game, and he's shooting over 40% from the three-point line.
DuBose has come back and been red hot as Wake Forest in the home white, Duke in the road blue. Our officials tonight, Brian O'Connell, Matt Potter, and Tony Henderson. As we are underway in Winston-Salem, it'll be Duke that starts with possession. Offensive foul called against Wendell Moore Jr. Great defense from Carter Witt. And this is a Wake Forest team that lost to Duke earlier in the season, 79-68. That was 6 weeks ago in early January as we take a look at the Deacon starters. Since then, Wake is playing a lot better ball. The Deacs have won 3 of 6, and they were a play away from beating Florida State in Tallahassee over the weekend. Malcolm, what's been the difference for this Wake Forest team?
Well, that opening play right there, defensively, Jay, they've gotten better. Carter Witt starts the game off taking a charge. And then offensively, right here, Oguama, one of the better offensive rebounders in the ACC to go along with close to 10 threes made per game.
For the Blue Devils, a tough start to the month of February, 0-3, but then responded really well with a win against NC State, and they pick up where they left off against the Wolfpack. Matthew Hurt buries the 3 to open the score.
When we spoke to Steve Forbes yesterday, he said, look, that dude has been a problem. He really does a nice job on pick and pops, and now him playing at the 4 because Williams is inserted into the lineup, he has really given teams a handful out on the perimeter.
And Mark Williams called for a travel. You mentioned our conversation with Steve Forbes, also spoke with Coach K and Mike Krzyzewski, and both Steve Forbes joining coaches around the country and honoring John Thompson, you see, wearing that iconic towel over the shoulder, who died this past August. But with our conversation with Coach K, he said the key to the win against NC State that snapped the 3-game losing streak was the toughness and the physicality they brought on the defensive end.
Yeah, no doubt. And, again, it sets the tone for the game. And, Coach K said, look, we must, though, defend the three-point line against Wake Forest.
Come up with another stop there. Open 3 in transition, off the mark. Williams swats it out. Corralled by Wendell Moore Jr., who threw it away.
Right here, DuBose with a nice move. Okay, it's hard to tell real time whether or not that was on. Yeah, even from that angle, really tough to tell, but looked like the ref was in pretty good position to make that call or not make it. So play on. Excellent defensive play by Williams.
Williams had 5 blocks in that win against NC State. He's been in really good form the last couple of games. And they've been waiting for the freshman to come in and play like he was promised to. Teeing up Oguama here. Oguama gets Williams in the air and cashes in through the contact.
And that's how you go against the big. Don't fade away. Go right up, take some contact, and try to get him off balance. That's just a strong move by Oguama.
Back inside to Williams, trying to answer on Oguama, and he does. Mark Williams showing off the low post move.
When we talked to Coach K, about the difference that he has made, allowing Matthew Hurt to slide over to the 4. He said, look, it's simple. He's figured out the physicality that he needs to bring in the ACC games and really has benefited Duke.
Busey has lost the handle, stripped away by Matthew Hurt. That Duke defense has come to play again. And Coach K says that's the recipe to get some wins down the stretch. Extra pass pays off. DJ Stewart drills it.
And Jay, that's all set up by Matthew Hurt. He's done that now twice in this game. One to Wendell Moore, that time to a wide open shooter. Unselfish play by Matthew Hurt. He draws so much attention. That time set his teammate up for a wide open look.
Step back 3, DuBose hits it. How about Ian DuBose? After 74 days without a game, he has come back and been instrumental in these last 3 for the Demon Deacons.
Steve Forbes called him a tank. He's like, look, man, that dude is just strong, and he has provided such a boost for this Wake Forest offense. Not only can he score for himself, but also, Jay, he can set his teammates up for some easy opportunities.
Oguama inside, bodying up with Williams again. Count it, plus the foul. And one opportunity coming for Odi Oguama when we come back. Duke and Wake Forest going punch for punch early. A fun rivalry affair just getting started on the ACC Network. His son Brandon, the heroics to bring Wake a much-needed victory against this Duke side.
And Jay, I spoke with Brandon the other day. He said, you know, he's out in Russia, and you know, Pops was definitely proud. That was a proud moment right there, and you know, certainly the difference a year makes with the fans being able to be in the building.
This game tied at 8 early. Malcolm, what's the recipe for Wake Forest to repeat that winning performance from a year ago?
Well, they're going to have to handle Duke's pressure. You can't turn the ball over. That's what Duke wants to do. And then three-point shooting. Coach K talked about you must defend the three-point line against Wake. They average close to 10 threes made per game. And then that guy right there, Matthew Hurt, they have to do a better job defending him in this game than they did the first game.
Jeremy Roach left open for 3, can't connect. Williamson tracks down the rebound. Wake Forest, the second best three-point shooting team in the ACC. Duke right now has the worst three-point defense in the league. And Coach K told us if this team's going to put some more wins together down the stretch, it all starts on the defensive side of the ball.
And look, let's make no mistake about it. The long layoff, the lack of a preseason with a young team plays into that. Obviously, defensively, they need to improve defending the perimeter, but certainly they have enough talented players, I think, to make up.
It's the 5th youngest team in the country, and Coach K said, trust us, we're getting better, we're improving. It might not show up in wins and losses, but he feels every day this team has improved. You take a look at that 5th most inexperienced team in the NCAA, and Malcolm can't think of a worse year in the history of college basketball to be young than this year.
No, absolutely, no doubt. And you know, on the other side, you know, credit Steve Forbes. You know, Jay, we've had them a couple times this year, and you know, they've had some layoffs, but you know, all their games they've continued to play hard and be in those games, and you know, Steve Forbes has got them trending in the right direction.
Have them a play away from beating Florida State in Tallahassee. They've won 3 of their last 6. This is a Demon Deacons team, remember, that had a month-long shutdown due to a COVID outbreak that derailed the non-conference part of their schedule. And they have played exceedingly well in the last couple of weeks as Jamin Brakefield buries a 3.
And Jay, you asked Coach K yesterday on our Zoom call, you know, if you felt Brakefield was a guy that's kind of under the radar, and he's been pretty solid for them coming off the bench, giving them some nice production.
Carter Witt steps into a three and hits it. The freshman Carter Witt beats the buzzer from deep.
It's amazing his growth. A guy so young and, starting in the ACC, defensively you can tell, Jay, he's gotten better. But that right there, him knocking down jumpers on a consistent basis, that's going to be huge for Wake Forest.
Back-to-back buckets from Jamin Brakefield, and we asked Coach K, with Jalen Johnson opting out for the rest of the season, who's a guy that has to step up? And he mentioned fellow freshman's Jamin Brakefield's name. He's 2 for 2 with 5 points. Offensive foul is the call. Duke will get the basketball leading by 2. We were just talking about the terrific job Steve Forbes has done with all the adversity he's faced in his first year as the head coach of Wake Forest. 3-9 record in the ACC, Malcolm, and yet you could make a case that Forbes is the ACC Coach of the Year.
I would not argue with that at all. The job that he's done, Coach K mentioned it as well, too. He said, look, he has got them playing really well and very difficult to match up against. They've been sound, offensively balanced, but I think the big improvement really, Jay, has been defensively. They've been pretty good against opposing teams.
Brakefield attacks the rack again. Jamin Brakefield, 3 straight buckets. The freshman leading the way.
Well, Jay, that's just a strong move by Brakefield. And we've talked about the production that he has given Duke. And aggressive early on, take the hit. Wasn't able to complete the three-point play, but another talented freshman for Coach K.
Mizzou pulls the trigger, too much on it. Another offensive rebound from Wake Forest. Open 3, Williamson can't hit it. Brakefield the rebound. He's doing everything for Duke right now. And Wendell Moore Jr. pushes the tempo and cashes in for 2.
I think he needs to do more of that. Wendell Moore, get out in transition or into half court. Don't settle for jumpers. Try to get to the basket.
Ian DeBoe's a much-needed bucket. That's what he's good for. Gets into attack mode, and he's showing no rust after 60 days without a practice in the middle of conference play.
I mean, that's just amazing how much time he's had off and what he's been doing in this 4-game stretch.
Inside, Williams everything but the finish. Wake Forest looks to run with Williamson, and that rattles in and out. And Wake Forest called for a reaching foul. Let's step aside midway through this first half. You talk to the Orange and the Irish, they both say you feel like you got to win out from here, really, in the regular season. Continue to build that NCAA tournament resume. And you'll take a look at the ACC standings. So many teams feel that way. You got Syracuse, Georgia Tech, Duke, Notre Dame. It doesn't even fit on one page. How many teams are bunched up in the middle of the conference that feel like they really need to step on the gas? Now's the time to make a move.
Yeah, and obviously, there's been some postponements. So obviously, getting games in also is going to be a key factor as we take a look at great ball movement by Duke. End result, a pretty good look from 3, and now they extend the lead to 7.
And Joey Baker comes off the bench in his first action of the night and beats the buzzer on a 3. Williamson wasn't looking for the ball. Goldwire got tripped up. Doesn't matter though, over and back is the call. It'll be Duke basketball leading by 7.
And Steve Forbes, after he talked about defending Matthew Hurt, he said, look, we have to handle their pressure. Those type turnovers, we just can ill afford. That's really a I won't call it unforced, but just careless with the ball. We need to cut down on those.
Blue Devils on a 9-2 run, looking for more. Williamson intercepted it and was immediately fouled. He reads the ball really well, Malcolm.
He really does. That's a great read. Really, though, poor decision by Wendell Moore. That time, you like him being aggressive, but you can't leave your feet in that situation. You're really caught up in the air underneath the basket, nowhere to go. Nice anticipation by Williamson.
Williamson, a player who played all 34 games a year ago for Steve Forbes at East Tennessee State and then followed him to his hometown of Winston-Salem. He's shown that he can play in the ACC, one of Wake Forest's best players this season. Witt loses the handle. Goldwire lobs it up ahead. Denied at the rim, and guess who's there to clean it up? Jordan Goldwire. The steal and the score, a hustle play from the senior. It's the largest lead of the night for Duke, 22-13. Getting it done, defense into offense. Blue Devils starting to roll.
Nearly 150 years of experience goes into making each and every Continental tire. So you can trust with total confidence that our tires will deliver superior performance, no matter where the road takes you. Continental Tire, for what you do.
The Duke has opened up a 9-point lead on the back of some pretty good three-point shooting. 4 of 8 to start the game.
And Jay, it's the looks, how open they've been. It's been off of excellent ball movement. Hurts had some nice passes out of really a lot of attention, but the ball is moving left to right, and they're getting some really clean looks in their half-court sets.
On an 11-2 run. They've cashed in, turning defense into offense. 7 points off turnovers. Inside to Mark Williams. Has a Guama in the air. Muscles his way to the rim, and it rolls down.
Jay, he looks like a different player. Williams, I've been impressed with how he's established post position, and you can see why Coach K is impressed with how he's picked up in terms of his physicality in games. He's really battling for post position on both ends.
And Oguama a little too aggressive there. Called for a foul going up against Matthew Hurt. Tomorrow we got a terrific women's college basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC Network. Tips off with Georgia Tech and Florida State. And then number 3 Louisville taking on Pittsburgh at 8. Stewart decides to take it himself, uses the window for 2. Duke is dominating right now, doubling up Wake Forest 26-13.
That's a beautiful move by DJ Stewart. And he leads all ACC freshmen in points per game, 13 points a game. And that's a beautiful move. That time, Wake Forest iced the ball screen. Help was late, and he got to the hole and took contact and finished.
Hat off the mark from Jalen Johnson. And no, that's not the player who opted out for Duke earlier this week. That's Wake Forest senior, transfer from Tennessee. They share the name. 15-2 Blue Devils run in the last 6 minutes. Looking for more. Goldwire 3. He's got it. Everything going down for Duke right now. And Steve Forbes says, give me a timeout. On Duke's campus, there he is, Julian Abel. A name, Malcolm, that you or I didn't know before the beginning of the week, but once you hear the story, you go, that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it's, credit to Coach K on educating us as well, too. We told him we were doing a segment for Black History, and And he said, look, I felt one that was not getting enough attention is a black man was the architect behind Cameron Indoor. And, really just a phenomenal story, and one that, I think many people will be surprised to find out that, his story. So I highly suggest anybody that does not know the story, go to the Undefeated and look at other stories like this as well, too. Just phenomenal.
Matthew Hurt is red hot right now. Step back three. And Duke all over Wake Forest in this first half.
Well, right now, Jay, it's just too easy. I mean, they're getting clean looks. Wake's got to do a better job closing out on the three-point shooters. Right now, Duke is really in their comfort zone out on the perimeter shooting threes.
Hesitation from Williamson. Scoop to the hoop for Davian Williamson. Much needed bucket for the Demon Deacons.
That's a shifty move. That time being aggressive, not settling. That was a big bucket for Wake.
Inside Mark Williams, count it, plus the foul. This freshman has transformed in the last few weeks.
Well, Jay, the first time I saw Mark Williams play, you could tell he was shying away really from the contact. Not that sure. He is going right at Oguama right here. Again, take the hit, go up, that time finish with the left. That is a big-time move by the freshman big for Duke.
Coach K told us that it always takes the longest with the big men in terms of development, but the way Mark Williams has played in recent weeks really encourages you. And he said it's not just Williams. He feels this young team is really starting to find their rhythm and improve day in and day out.
Well, what it does is it allows Matthew Hurt to go ahead and play the four more often, and he becomes even a bigger matchup problem as Wake able to knock down another three. Williamson keeping Wake Forest hanging around in this game. That's another bucket.
Wendell Moore Jr. fading away, and he hits it.
Well, that's not bad defense that time by Wake. Again, the help is there. That's just a tough fadeaway jumper by Wendell Moore. And sometimes you got to live with that. There's three guys right there on the help.
Blocked from behind by Brakefield. It's a run out for the Blue Devils. Jeremy Roach lost the handle. Couldn't finish. Jacoby Neath draws the foul.
Well, I've been impressed with the help side. That time, Brakefield with the great recovery. Again, got beat, didn't give up on the play, and is able to recover and block it. And then that set up the transition opportunity for Duke.
Three Duke blocks as they have bared down on the defensive end, and they're shooting really well from the floor. 62.5% in his first half.
Well, Coach K has got to be pleased with how his team, obviously defensively they've been good, but I think offensively, the flow of the offense, the looks that they have gotten early on in this first half, it's been impressive. Everybody getting involved, and they're going inside and outside, and I think a big reason why now Wake Forest is changing up their defense to see if they can slow down Duke offensively.
Hurt passing out of the block. Here's Brakefield, provided a spark off the bench. This time dishing to Moore, who's rejected at the rim. Odi Oguama said no. David Williamson on the drive. Too much on it. Brakefield trailer, look out! A few inches off of taking the rim away. Jamin Brakefield in attack mode, and Duke leading by. So Wake Forest without their head coach on the sideline for the remainder of the evening. And Matthew Hurt.
And that's
Malcolm, you were saying as Matthew Hurt takes both of these?
Yeah, Jay, that's just, obviously there was something, there were words exchanged. Certainly not Valentine's Day words. And, he was ejected and it was immediate. So, again, typically there's a warning. Hey, knock it off. I heard you. But there was no warning. There was not a lot of time that really took place in between the time he went to half court and the time that he was ejected. So it obviously was something that really was bad. And the referee said, "Nah, we're going to just get you up out of here."
Right. It was not just a single technical foul, a warning. It was an immediate double technical and an ejection from the game. There's Randolph Childress, one of the few Wake Forest assistants that'll try and fill that void the rest of the way. And that'll be Wake basketball. Joey Baker stays down after the play, grabbing at his rib cage.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact as Baker was cutting to the basket. So again, nice ball movement. Yeah, that's a pretty good collision. Now, certainly you can make the argument, obviously both are going for the ball.
Deacons down by 16 and without their head coach the rest of the way. It's Randolph Childress, we just got confirmed, who will be the acting head coach on the Deacons sideline. And Williamson lost the handle. Here's DJ Stewart. Makes it himself. Count it plus the foul. DJ Stewart.
Well, he has been, arguably their most consistent player, and this is just, again, careless with the ball. If you're Wake, you got to ball fake or make a stronger pass. And then this is just a beautiful finish by Stewart. And that was the concern for Steve Forbes and staff coming into this one, how Wake Forest would handle the Duke pressure. And, in this first half, it's been problematic in the last 5 to 8 minute stretch.
10 of Duke's 41 points have come off turnovers. It's all started on the defensive end tonight. Malcolm, I don't know about you, but watching the Blue Devils right now, you're thinking, how is this team 8-8? If they play this well, don't write this Duke season off just yet. Good time to remind you that tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern time, we'll have the beginning of the series between Florida State and Georgia Tech in softball, and then Friday at 1 o'clock as well, right here on the ACC Network.
Well, Jay, back to your earlier point about Duke. Look, many of their games, 6 total ACC losses were by 7 points or less. And, obviously with a young team, you're going to have that. So, they've been right there in games. But I think really the emergence of Mark Williams, to me, has really been a big boost for them.
Extra pass to Isaiah Musius, who knocks down the open look.
What a pass by Carter Witt. And he just continues to get better each game. Again, this is a guy really young, starting in the ACC. That's a beautiful find. Unselfish play. And led to a wide open corner three.
Goldwire lines up a three, too much on it. Long rebound falls to the freshman DJ Stewart.
And Jay, I like the switch of defense by Wake Forest, going to a 3-2 zone, but you got to rebound out of the zone.
That'll stay Duke's way. Isaiah Musius called for a push in the back on Mark Williams. Coming up on the State Farm halftime report, Jay Billis joins Packer and Durham. We talk about Florida State, and we'll give you stats and highlights from an eventful first half here in Winston-Salem. Duke is dominated certainly, and Wake Forest is without Steve Forbes after he received a double technical and has been ejected from this game.
Now Randolph Childress takes over head coaching duties for Wake Forest. And, you know, Jay, minute 6 left in this one, 42-26, Wake's trailing. They got to try to get a couple of positive plays offensively, get some stops, and see if they can get, you know, some momentum going into the half and then regroup.
Wake is shooting 44% from 3, but only 37% from 2. Musius puts up a 3. That goes begging. And Duke decides to take a timeout. Use it or lose it for Coach K, and he decides to use it. He's got to be happy with the way his team has played in this first half, Malcolm.
Oh, absolutely. 10 points off of turnovers. You look at the three-point shooting percentage for Duke in this first half, 45%. And, you know, really, Jay, it's been a balanced effort, everybody involved.
Everybody wants to ask the Hall of Famer, are you worried about not making the NCAA tournament? Big streak on the line. How can there even be an NCAA tournament without Duke? And he told us he's blocking it all out. He is solely focused on making sure this young group continues to improve each and every day. He feels like they have, especially the last 2 weeks. Now, he can't promise that that'll equal wins, but that's all he can control.
Well, individually, you can tell all of them have gotten better. I think the one guy, and, you know, assistant coach Nate James, who does a lot of work with Mark Williams, he has been the one guy, I think, that has been really impressive to see his progression from the first time he set foot on the court to now.
Matthew Hurt makes Wake Forest pay. Can't leave that man open. Stewart, a half-court heave. Well, Duke doesn't need that one. A terrific first half. Largest lead of the game. It's 45-26 through 20 minutes. Coach K's group with a terrific first half performance. Eight o'clock on ESPN, but before the Blue Devils get the Cavaliers, they've got a second half to play with the Deacons. Duke up 45-26. Take a look at that series history. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. The last time these two met with Duke unranked, you have to turn back the clock 5 years to 2016.
Yeah, you know, it's been that type of year. But, you know, look, he understands that he has a lot of talent, but they're young. And I'll go back to my earlier point. They've lost 6 of their games by 7 points or less. So they've lost some close games, but you can see this team starting to figure it out, in particular, Jay, defensively.
Forest goes inside to Oguama, who gets the better of Mark Williams there.
And what a beautiful set play by Wake Forest to open up the second half. A lot of cross-screen action and a nice little jump hook by Oguama.
Matthew Hurt right on cue gets the answer for the Blue Devils.
Well, he continues to be the problem matchup for them. First outing, he had 26 points, and right now, if the smaller guy's on him, he's just raising up over him.
Oguama calling for the goaltend, and they give it to him. The 7-footer, the block waved off. The 2 points will count.
And Williams, again, both these guys, nice little battle between Oguama and Williams. Yeah, looked like it was on its way down. It's close, but interesting stat in that first half. Duke only 5 of 9 from the free throw line. Wake Forest only took 5 free throw attempts, 4 of 5. So Duke doing a nice job playing defense without fouling.
Well, Wake trailing by 17 without their head coach Steve Forbes in the second half, who was ejected in the first half. What's the recipe to get back into this game, Malcolm?
Defensive stops. You're going to have to get some stops, and I think try to get out in transition before the defense can get set up. But Duke has been pretty good in transition defense in that first half, limiting any transition opportunities.
Inside Oguama, and he draws the foul on Williams. The sophomore Oguama getting the better of the freshman Mark Williams to start this second half.
Well, what Oguama's doing a nice job of, anytime you're going up against a shot blocker like Williams, in that last outing against NC State, I think he had 5 blocks. He's going right into him. He's not fading away. He's taking his body and taking the contact to him, trying to get Williams on his heels. And then he's going up with the jump hook, and he's doing a nice job establishing post position as well, too.
Oguama knocks down both from the foul line. He's a player that's really taken a big leap from his freshman to his sophomore year.
He really has. Nice job adding some rim protection, I think, on both the offensive and defensive glass. That's where he does most of his damage.
Matthew Hurt continues to do damage. Back-to-back baskets for Duke. He's up to a team-high 14.
Jay, if you're Wake, because Duke has really been aggressive in the passing lanes, you got to try to get some backdoor cuts, or you're going to have to set better screens, because right now it just seems like they're getting their hands on a lot of these swing passes.
Everything going through Oguama right now. That time comes up empty. Hurt again. He's red hot. Matthew Hurt knocking down everything right now.
Jay, that's just a breakdown. He's the one guy, again, he had 4 threes, 26 points in their last outing, and in transition that time, nice little dribble drive, but, you know, if you're Wake, you cannot leave him open. You have to stay home on Matthew Hurt.
Hurt leads the way with 17 points on 6 of 7 shooting. He's hit 3 threes. Wick goes with the Hail Mary pass. Lucius hauls it in, attacks the rack, but he's called for an offensive foul.
Let's see. Yeah, I I don't like that one. Now, again, it looked like he was leaning back and almost looked like he slid to the side to avoid that. From that angle, I looked like that was either a no call or a block. Nonetheless, though, Jay, everything going Duke's way, and it started defensively. They really set the tone early on in this game with their defensive pressure. And then offensively, they've gotten high percentage looks all game so far.
Duke defensively has taken Wake completely out of their offensive rhythm. This is a team that scored 85 points over the weekend in Tallahassee against Florida State. And credit Duke, they showed up tonight on the road at Winston-Salem and has really disrupted Wake Forest's offensive flow.
Yeah, Coach K mentioned that in our Zoom call. The job that Steve Forbes has done. Not an easy place to go into Tallahassee. And, what they've done, but tonight has been a different story. And credit Duke. Coming into this one, Coach K said, look, we must defend the three-point line against this Wake Forest team. And, in the first half, they did a really nice job contesting and then also being active in the passing lane, coming up with turnovers.
They've got 15 points off the bench, 17 points from Matthew Hurt. Great ball movement. Jamin Brakefield can't knock it down.
That's 10 points right there. 10 points off of turnovers for Duke to 2.
Ian DeBoe's on the drive, and he's fouled. He'll have 2 coming at the line. Duke comfortably in the driver's seat, a 20-point lead as we step aside. Earlier in the season, a career-high 26, and he has picked up where he left off 6 weeks ago, Malcolm. He's been terrific.
And it's his high release that I've been impressed with. If you look at him shoot the ball, he catches, the ball does not come down, and he's got a high release point. So if you have a smaller player on him, he's just going to raise up and shoot over him. And you look at the numbers. That first outing, he was pretty impressive, but he's on track to break that number. Building off that first performance against Wake Forest. And I've also been impressed too, Jay, passing out of double teams. He's been unselfish with the ball anytime he's been doubled.
Wake Forest has gone to full court pressure for the first time tonight, trying to change something to take Duke outside of their rhythm. Inside to Hurt, contested, and it rims in. That is good defense from Wake Forest, and it doesn't matter. Everything going down for Hurt right now.
Well, he's scoring on all 3 levels right now. I mean, he showed off the three-point range that time, get him in the post, back a guy down, and then shoot a little step back off balance. That's just really a difficult matchup right now. It doesn't make a difference what Wake is throwing at him. He has figured it out, and he's just playing comfortable right now.
Inside to Hurt again. That one's the easiest 2 of the night.
Well, man-to-man is not going to be an option. I mean, right now, if they're playing man, they're either going to put him in the post or put him in a pick-and-roll situation. Either way, he's just scoring at ease. I think they're going to have to change it up, go back to zone, or just keep the full court pressure, see if you can try to get some turnovers, because right now he's scoring at will.
Shooting 8 of 9 with 3 threes. 21 points, 5 shy of a career high. Extra pass there to Goldwire. 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and Jeremy Roach scoops it up and puts it in. Bowes with a head of steam draws the foul. Hurt will get the accolades for tonight. But this has been a really good team performance from Duke outside of Hurt's individual effort.
Well, I think the concern was defending the three-point line, and credit, you're right, it was a team effort defensively. They've done a really nice job, really holding down a Wake team that played really well offensively against Florida State.
Saturday afternoon, Notre Dame in Syracuse taking on the Orange. Syracuse 12-6, sitting right on Joe Lunardi's bubble. They've won 2 straight. Catch that game right here on the ACC network or the ESPN app. Right in the middle of February, you're going to hear the word bubble a lot the next 3 weeks. Duke's trying to work their way back on it. It's interesting taking a deep dive this week in the rivalry between Wake Forest and Duke. It's actually the Blue Devils' most common opponent. Tonight makes 255, which puts the Demon Deacons ahead of North Carolina. And obviously, particularly for the players, and there's a lot of them on these two rosters that grew up and played their youth and high school basketball in North Carolina. This game means a lot.
Yeah, and I would have definitely guessed North Carolina would have been the most common opponent for Duke. So certainly fun little fact right there.
The first game in Duke program history, Wake Forest got the win 24-10. Go back to March 2nd, 1906. That game actually played in Wake Forest, not Winston-Salem. Mark Williams with a man's jam plus the foul.
Right now, Jay, they are putting on a clinic offensively. Ball moving left to right, and then that's just an unselfish play by Jordan Goldwire for the finish by Mark Williams. And back to your earlier point, Jay, it has not just been one guy. Yes, Hurt has had a huge game, but Goldwire, Williams, Brakefield, I mean, they've all, Baker, when he's gotten into the game, they've all had their hand in this offensive output tonight.
Now, when Coach K sits down with us yesterday and says, trust me, it may not reflect in the wins and losses, but my team is improving, look no further than Mark Williams these last 2 weeks. The light has gone on, and this freshman means business inside for the Blue Devils right now.
Well, Coach K talked, about his staff, John Shire, and, the job that those guys do, Nate James, and in particular, Nate James, the job that he's done with Mark Williams, his improvement really has been impressive.
You just see a shot of the bench there. It's a Duke team that seems to be enjoying the way they're playing right now. Coach K said practices have been enjoyable for this young team, too.
Well, we were shocked on our Zoom call yesterday, right after Duke's practice. We spoke with Coach K via Zoom, and he just seemed really relaxed. And you're right, Jay, that's exactly what he said. As Wake Forest is able to knock down a three.
Step back three, Baker. Too much on it. John Antonio cashes in on a three. They call him the Australian microwave. He can heat up in a hurry. Had 7 threes in the game against Florida State over the weekend. That's his first of tonight.
I love the nickname. That's all nickname team right there. And I expect this Wake Forest team to continue to battle. That has been the theme, all season long with this Steve Forbes team. These guys have played hard. no matter what the circumstance. So I don't expect them to go away. They're going to continue to try to claw back into this game.
Duke shooting 60% from the floor. It's tough to stay competitive when your opponent has just come into a building and shot lights out. It's been the three-point shooting, and it's been the inside play of Mark Williams. Take another look at the freshman feasting, rocking the rim, and his Blue Devils up big. Forest by 25. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. Take a look at bracketology. This is hot off the press from Joe Lunardi. And the Blue Bloods, 3 of them, Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State, all on the outside looking in.
I'll tell you what, I mean, based on what Duke is doing tonight, they keep playing like this. I don't see, many teams having an easy out with them. And look, they've been impressive start to finish. As we take a look at Oguama continuing to battle. And, Jay, back to my earlier point on him, Oguama, I just love his energy and effort. But on the glass, he really has turned into one of the better offensive and defensive rebounders in the ACC.
I had one question for you going back to the Blue Bloods, and why do you think they have struggled this year? It's been a hot conversation around college basketball.
Well, Coach K, he was asked that the other day, and look, some people might think of it as an excuse, but he's got a young team. They've lost 6 of their ACC games by 7 points or less, and I think it's that youth without having that full preseason, getting them some early games to work out some of the freshman battles that they're going to go through. I think it has hurt them, and then the pauses in between. So, yes, they're talented, but it's not that easy coming into any league, in particular ACC, and playing as a freshman.
And it's not just Duke. We've seen it with Kentucky. We've seen it with Michigan State. North Carolina hasn't been up to their typical standards. So it is not just the Blue Devils that have struggled in this COVID year, but I think you're seeing Coach K's team. You take a look at the NC State performance. You take a look at the performance tonight against Wake Forest, and I wouldn't want to play this Blue Devils team right now.
And remember, this is a Wake Forest team that took Florida State to overtime. And, again, credit Steve Forbes getting this Wake Forest team where they're at right now, but tonight they've just run into a Duke team that just has it going on both ends, defensively and then offensively. They put on a clinic.
Oguama almost got his hands on another offensive rebound. Baker, a contested 3, and he hits it. How about Joey Baker? Buries his 3rd triple of the night. Blue Devils shooting 50% from 3. That's the formula right there. Good defense and make some threes. Baker, how about another one? That one off the mark. Extra pass, wide open, Williamson, and he makes Duke pay. Tapped out of Wake Forest, so they'll stay with Duke. Blue Devils up big, a commanding 73-49 lead. Really a 3-time All-ACC player in his time in Winston-Salem, the Arnold Palmer Award winner in 1970, and his number 12 hangs proudly in the rafters here at Joel Coliseum. Duke has dominated From start to finish with 7:30 to play, it's a 22-point Blue Devil lead. Matthew Hurts led the way with 21.
And right now, Jay, you know, the issue for Wake all night has been anytime they try to get some momentum, Duke has had the answer offensively. Their inability to get stops.
And it has all stemmed from there. That's the second or third time we've seen Mark Williams after the whistle just swat it away. He is playing with unrivaled passion right now, and you can tell he has turned the corner in his freshman year.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. He is just, he looks much more confident, playing much more physical, and he's provided a huge presence in the middle for Duke.
Tomorrow, women's basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC Network. Starts at 6 o'clock with Georgia Tech and Florida State. And then after, it's number 3 Louisville taking on Pittsburgh. Hurt goes up and grabs that rebound. Matthew Hurt. This is what Duke fans were expecting from him each and every game this year for the Blue Devils. And he has shown flashes, but tonight he's really put it all together. Or Junior called for the travel. Bo's open for 3, rattles out. Hurt grabs another rebound. This Blue Devils team has not trailed all night long. Got out to a great start. The shooting has continued strongly. The defense has been sound. It's a really complete performance, Malcolm.
It really has, and you know, offensively, obviously it starts with this guy right here. He has been unguardable in this game. That time head fake, you have to honor his jumper. And, you know, I've just been impressed with nothing seems to speed him up in this game right now. Smaller players will take him down low in the post. Bigger player will take him out on the perimeter. And then that time right there, little head fake and got to the free throw line. It's just been efficient. I mean, you look at these numbers, Jay, and 10 of 15 in January 9th, and then tonight 8 of 9. And he's shown off the entire game. Mid-range, 3-point, and then putting the ball on the floor and getting to the basket.
And although he's playing the 5 right now with Mark Williams on the bench, you made a great point earlier, Malcolm. How much does it help Hurt to be playing the 4 with the emergence of Williams at the 5?
It's huge, and it creates more matchup problems as Williamson continues to show some really positive things. That's a beautiful spin and finish. Wake still trailing.
Coaches around the country and honoring John Thompson, who legend doesn't really even cover it when you talk about his importance to the game of college basketball. He passed away in August. His iconic towel over the shoulder look being sported all night by Coach K, and Steve Forbes was sporting the towel up until his ejection from the game at the end of the first half. He was tossed on a double technical. Still not really sure what he was arguing, but Wake has been without their first-year head coach, and Duke continues to capitalize as Wendell Moore Jr. buries a 3.
And back to the John Thompson tribute, you know, well, what a great gesture by all these coaches. You know, Jay, I was fortunate enough to play against some of those great Georgetown teams for 4 years. Tombo, Mourning, but John Thompson was an iconic figure, and You know, obviously everybody remembers the white towel over the shoulder, and you know, he was one of the greats, not only for what he did for the game of basketball, but so many young men's lives that he's changed. Just a testament to how important he was.
Do you have one memory in particular going against his Georgetown team?
Well, my best memory was in the conference tournament. He came up to me and he talked to me about something unrelated to basketball. He said, "You see all these guys in this room, make sure that you talk to them about life after basketball." And I never forgot that. So for me, it was really stuck out that he cared more about me as a person and what I was going to do afterwards. And I wasn't even playing for him. So again, that just goes to show you what type of person he was. Wendell Moore with the block. Now, the only thing I don't like about that, Jay, again, yes, it looks good for TV, and yes, you have a sizable lead, but you know, in a real situation right there, obviously you want to block that and keep possession for your team. And I think Wendell Moore is just trying to make a statement right there, but
great look inside, and Isaiah Musius beats the buzzer. Wake Forest continues to battle without their head coach Steve Forbes on the sideline. He's transformed this program in less than 1 year, taking it over. The season that could have been derailed by a month-long shutdown due to a COVID outbreak in the early goings of the season. This team, he'll be the first to tell you, didn't give it their best performance tonight, but he's really got the foundation in Winston-Salem. The ACC 3-Point Challenge app presented by New York Life to help benefit the local boys and girls clubs around the country. Score points for your school, and after the tournament, the local boys and girls club will receive a donation from New York Life based on their affiliated ACC teams' final ranking. Duke has certainly shot the ball well from three tonight. 10 made three-pointers on their way to an 81-56 lead. And I mean, look at that. More than 1,100 games with a consecutive three-point make.
That's a pretty impressive list right there. And you know, tonight, Jay, I think the big thing, when you look at that 43% number for Duke, was how they were moving the ball. I think that was the impressive piece, and you know, Coach K and staff certainly have to be pleased with the defensive effort. Again, this is a Wake Forest team that took arguably one of the better defensive teams in Florida State to overtime, and you know, tonight, really start to finish, they did a nice job controlling the pace and tempo of this game.
There's a great example of it, and it leads to another one. Joey Baker makes his fourth three of the night.
And that's Duke's 18th assist of the game.
Malcolm, I'm going back to that graphic. I mean, I can't see that streak ever snapping, that a Duke basketball team would go 40 minutes without a made three.
You just jinxed it.
Saturday against Virginia. Here we go. Save the tape. That one short from Baker. Lines up at three off the mark. If you're Duke, Malcolm, back-to-back convincing road wins against NC State and Wake. The question is, how do you keep it going from here? Actually, we're going to have you save that answer, because we've got to tell people Friday night, 8 Eastern time, right after Central Michigan Notre Dame lacrosse ball. Men not on campus 8 o'clock right here on the ACC Network as those guys preview the ACC slate of games, including Duke and Virginia. How do the Blue Devils take these performances into Virginia on Saturday night?
Well, they need the same defensive effort. It all starts defensively. Look, their great offensive numbers were set up tonight because they were active defensively. 10 points off the turnovers in that first half. They made it difficult for Wake to run their offense. Jay, on the other side, look, Wake Forest, yes, obviously you're disappointed with this loss right here, but we've been talking about it really throughout. And Coach K had high praise for Steve Forbes, the job that he's done with this Wake program. They have to get back to the drawing boards. I think the big area for them that hurt them tonight was a bad matchup. I mean, really, there's not much else to say about it. Matthew Hurt is just a tough matchup for him. They really had no answer, and when they stayed single coverage, he scored at will.
A career-high 26 points 6 weeks ago against Wake Forest, and Hurt follows it up with 8 of 9 shooting and 22 points. He really set the tone into what is a Blue Devils big-time blowout victory on the road in a rivalry game. That's the hustle and the ball movement that Wake Forest fans are used to seeing. Didn't get enough of it tonight.
And we talked about it at the tip, Jay. Ian DeBose, his production since back from the long layoff tonight really has been a long night really for all. And certainly, though, Coach Forbes and them are happy to have him back in the lineup. We talked about what he's done in that 4-game stretch. 14 points, shooting a high clip from the 3-point line. But give Duke credit. They did a good job on everybody, in particular DeBose, in the first half, limiting his opportunities.
Well, Duke left no doubt tonight. Followed up a convincing win on the road against NC State with an 84-60 thrashing of Wake Forest. The Blue Devils back above 500, 9-8, and our Zaxby's player of the game, no doubt about it, Matthew Hurt.
His last 2 games have been impressive. I mean, you look at these numbers, 8 of 9, 3 of 4 from the 3-point line. And Jay, I think the thing that really might go unnoticed, his passing. He made some great passes to set his teammates up from some open looks. But right here, again, his high release point, doesn't matter who's on him. He's raising up over him. Excellent transition offense. Help is not there. And then showing off the whole game. Right here, a little step back jumper. Again, high release. And that right there looking like Dirk Nowitzki with the little runner off that foot. And then he posted up. Really, they had no answer for Matthew Hurt tonight, and that was the story of the game to go along with the great defense.
Dominated the glass too, +9 on the rebounds.